Well, hello, folks. Good evening. Good Friday evening. I am going to be a little slow because, well, I don't think I have the Fauci virus, but been a little off this week. However, we're here and we're gonna try and put on a good show tonight. Let's see here. Let's see if we can't get the CPAP to tune in. And so, anyhow, we have a significant number of things going on here, and that is that we have.
Okay with the name change, dude. But I told them that the Jedi mind trick shit won't work on me because I used to change fur diapers, and they're like,
General Skull either.
they're like, well,
Hey, wait a minute. What? I'm live on YouTube here, so I don't have to pop.
my half sister.
I don't want to be on your show.
No, I'm popping it. Never mind. So anyhow, I was just trying to get some live commentary on here, but anyhow, so what we have right now is Joe Biden. Joe Biden, folks, is now trying to tell you what to do with your retirement. Yes, indeed, he is. He is trying to tell you what to do in your retirement in the name of social justice. And that being said, he has no business in doing so. I mean, let's be real, folks. This is. Sorry, I'm a trooper here. Yeah. Probably some other engineered Fauci thing. Of course, I did see Def Leppard a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was from that, but I don't know. And of course, I wasn't wearing a mask. Who the fuck wears a mask at a concert? It's kind of hard to drink a beer with a damn mask on. Plus, I don't work anyway. So we have that to get to. And apparently, a liberal organization called Into, I've never even heard of them, has posted an article that says John Cleese has officially gone over to the dark side, which immediately caught my attention, folks, because I absolutely love John Cleese. He doesn't take shit from anybody. We also have, Parkland father, Manuel Oliver, has been arrested in Capitol Hill for basically being an idiot protesting gun control in a not so nice way. And yes, maybe Florida teachers or parents have taken it a little bit too far over a principal in Tallahassee from a charter school being forced to resign over showing the Michelangelo statue to sixth graders in an art appreciation class. Even most of us on the right are against that. It's not like they're in a damn drag show, okay? And it's not like the Michelangelo statue has an overly large dong that takes the eyes off of everything else. But, nevertheless, and probably parents who want their kids to remain virgins until they're 30. These things happen, and it's sad, but that is the case. So, on to the first thing. Joe Biden has issued, this was his first veto. And you know what? This is this is how biased Microsoft Bing really is, folks. It's the hell is there an ad popping up on one of my shits here? This is some fake news. Okay, no. Okay, this is Fox News. I'm just gonna cut that off. But anyhow, so Biden's first veto and his entire presidency was issued Monday, rejecting a Republican-led measure that would overturn a regulation allowing retirement plan managers to consider climate change in their investment decisions. The bill would have overturned Biden administration regulation on environmental, social, and corporate governance guidelines, aka ESG. The bill passed in the GOP-led House on February 28th on vote of 216 to 204, with actually one Democrat joining with the Republicans in support. Because, well, that Democrat's probably going to retire one of these days too, and investing in climate change shit is probably not going to make him any extra, or her, any extra money in their retirement portfolio. You don't make investments to lose money for social justice for yourself. You make investments to have a good retirement, so you don't have to work until you're dead. That's why you do it. The Senate on March 1st approved a companion measure on a vote 50 to 46, helped by the support of two moderate Democrats from Republican-leading states. That would be Joe Manchin and Montana Senator John Tester. Republican lawmakers targeted the Labor Department rule in question with a legislative tool known as Congressional Review Act. It allows lawmakers, and again, I'm reading from Fox News here, to overturn a newly issued regulation on expedited schedule with a simple majority vote in both houses of Congress. Guidelines regarding ESG have been targeted by conservatives who have been arguing that they are part of an effort by progressives to promote woke capitalism. Defenders of regulation say ESG simply adds another factor for managers to consider when making investments. This bill would risk your retirement savings by making it illegal to consider risk factors mega health Republicans don't like, said Joe Biden. The guy that, well, he doesn't even have to worry about retirement because his dealings with China, Ukraine, and illegal things have made him richer than the shit he's pulling in the White House. But I digress. The veto is unlikely to be overridden in a narrowly divided Congress because that would require a two-thirds majority in both chambers, and Democrats control 51 seats in the Senate. However, what Fox News refuses or omitted is the fact that two Democrat senators from Pennsylvania are in hospital because the Democrats had to push John Festerman across the finish line when he couldn't even do his damn job. So we have that going for us. But even still, they did try to return it. It didn't happen. So basically, Biden's kind of forcing you to invest in garbage. One way or another. But that is basically the way it goes. It's very sad that, Democrats are controlling what you do with the money you worked your ass off for. But that is what Democrats do, folks. They take and then give it to their causes, regardless of whether you agree with it. You can't stop climate change because you can't stop, even if it's man-made. It ain't being man-made here in the United States. And when you give India and China developing nation status to not have to regulate their pollution, you ain't fixing the problem. I'm sorry. Like I said about Greta Thunberg, come protest in China. You'll get locked up, though. You won't be able to be like, no more blah, blah, blah. They're arresting me, but I'm going to be let out as soon as the coppers are gone. You'll be like, oh, no more blah, blah, blah. I have to eat rot. I don't have my tofu and couscous. Oh, what a drowning place this is. So we have that to look forward to. Next up, where do we go to next? The Parkland thing. How about that? This is from local ABC News, local 10 here in Florida. ABC is a liberal affiliate. Oh, and here you see that guy being escorted out of the, I guess the house. Oh, and pinned down and retained. Oh, that's nice. Maybe I'll have to put this in the description box here. He sure looks like a hippie. No, I'm not necessarily. I'm not defending the Parkland shooter, but I am defending guns because guns don't kill people. Crazy people kill people. Husbands that come home early kill people. People trying to take the Antifa kills people. BLM kills people. MAGA Republicans, though, I don't think they've killed many people. And furthermore, along the side of this, on Tucker Carlson last night, I saw a thing, basically, gays can be having guns and trans can be having guns. We don't want straight MAGA Republicans having guns. They want to control who has the guns so that you can't defend yourself, basically. So that if you're being butt raped by a big bear, you can't shoot him. You know, that's how they want it. That's what they're all about. That's what these socialist, justice, warrior Democrats are all about. So, aside from that, in this particular case, I believe this was the poor kid. It's not. It's not Congress's or the gun's fault. The kid died. It's the fault of Nicholas Cruz, who should have gotten the death penalty. But because Florida had been a Democrat-leaning state for so long, even though we execute more people than most states, there is a rule that you need a unanimous jury to give someone the death penalty. And in the case of Nicholas Cruz, it was one woke woke, put that out there, that didn't want to give him the death penalty. And therefore, he got life in prison. And because of that, Governor DeSantis put forth legislation so that it had to be more than one. So that you have to have, 2/3 or 3/4 majority in the jury. They're getting the death penalty. This was one, and then he got life. Now, granted, my late mother always used to say that in the event that one gets the death penalty, it costs more than actually giving them life because you have to pay for their attorneys and this and that and the other thing. And then their death row, personal shit, whatever. And she was probably right because she was right about anything. But anyhow, back to the Parkland thing. So Parkland father Manuel Oliver arrested and presented by son, and he has a voice. This is the headline. Okay, what do we got here? Let's see. Now, this is a liberal site, so I'm just going to read it as it says, folks. Manuel Oliver, whose 17-year-old son Joaquin was among the 17 victims of the Parkland school shooting, was arrested for protesting during a hearing Thursday in Washington, D.C. Oliver first used Twitter to protest. He wrote that it was incredible to watch how Republicans decided to attack the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. I think it's just the ATF, buddy, not the ATFE. But go on. Oliver wrote that the lawmakers were doing so instead of addressing America's gun violence epidemic, and he accused them of serving their role as gun industry's little shits. I'm guessing it said expletives, so, or maybe bitches. I don't know. Oliver, whose wife was Patricia Oliver, later stood up during the ATF overreach U.S. House committee hearing and actually shouted at the Republican lawmakers, "You're all full of shit, all of you." Video from ABC News shows the grieving parents willingly walking out of the hearing room. Another video shows two U.S. Capitol police officers pitting Manuel Oliver on the ground in the hallway. "Don't abuse your power. Let my husband go," said Patricia Oliver before one of the officers moved to push her away with one arm and loudly ordered her to back up. A video also shows Representative Alejandro Frost, Democrat from Florida, intervening after he left the hearing room to tell the USCP officers, U.S. Capitol Police, I'm reminding you, that Manuel Oliver was one of the fathers who had lost his son during the shooting at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglass. I think a lot of people were out of line before I said what I needed to say. I don't think I was out of line. I represented my son as he gave a voice through his mother and his father. And if you are asking me to stop doing that, then you're wasting your time, said Manuel Oliver during a news conference after the Capitol Police released him Thursday afternoon. Now, apparently the Oliver family has been advocating for gun control at the state and federal level since the tragedy. They believe it could have been prevented if the 19-year-old shooter, who had a long history of mental illness and violence at school, wouldn't have been able to legally buy the AR-15 style rifle that he used. Went on to say, "I know I'm doing not only tomorrow, but the rest of my life. Manuel Oliver said this about activism. I'm doing this and I'm complaining and I will march until there is no reason to do it." Well, there is no reason to do it. Truth of the matter is, and I could be wrong, but he shouldn't have been able to buy the firearm. That is correct. I mean, you can tell by looking at the guy, he's nuts. However, banning these weapons, which is what these people want, is unconstitutional. I mean, they could simply, very simply, raise the age, which the state of Florida did. But that proves you to these gun control libtard advocates that something is never enough. The state of Florida, Governor Rick Scott, actually executive ordered to raise the age required to buy an AR-15 to the same credentials as buying a handgun, which is the age of 21. Okay? That happened. If that was in place, it never would have happened. But that's not good enough for these gun control retards. They want no guns. But they want to be able, they probably want to be able to own them. It's like the queers, the gays. Well, we want guns. We need to arm ourselves. Pink pistols. But we don't want the Republicans to have them. They can have them. You can't. We're the biggest thing they're afraid of. They want to disarm us. And truth of the matter is, first off, I used to think you couldn't buy rifle ammo unless you were 21 because, for example, 22 long, 22 short could be used in a handgun. And you're not allowed to buy a handgun until you're 21, at least in the state of Florida. Maybe a national law, I'm not sure. So there were some loopholes that allowed this clown to get his hand on something. And, now we have background checks and this, that, and the other thing. So it's a lot harder for a kook to get his hands on one of these things. But these libtard clowns aren't going to stop. There are other parents like Andrew Pollock who lost their kid in the Marjorie Stoneman Douglass shooting. And they said, well, maybe if the teachers were armed and we had competent security, it wouldn't have a problem. The answer is more guns in schools by people that know how to use them, teachers that are trained, armed post-military ex-law enforcement, private security. These things will be a lot fewer if you saw a bunch of people with guns in their schools. Well, we don't want to turn our schools into jails, but then they want metal detectors. That's a little more like a jail than having an unmarked guy, rolling around, concealed carry, marksman, this, that, and the other thing. That is the solution, not taking everybody's guns away. I'm sorry, you clowns. You deserve to be arrested. You really do. It sucks you lost your kid, but it ain't the gun's fault. It's the clown's fault that did the deed. Now the other one, John Cleese has officially gone over to the dark side, and this was there's not much really here because it's a libtard site, obviously, by the fact that the name is called Into, and it's all in rainbows. But this was posted at 5 o'clock yesterday. John Cleese, a once beloved member of the iconic comedy sextet Monty Python, has been showing signs of Roganism for some time now. I guess that's being like Joe Rogan, who is not really a conservative, by the way. Today, the transformation is complete as right-wing outlet GB News, which I'm guessing may stand for Glenn Beck or maybe Great Britain, I don't know, announces Cleese's grand return to television by way of a new talk show with conservative free speech advocate Andrew Doyle. Its theme, cancel culture. The thing goes on to say, now, if you know anything at all, you could probably tell the phrases cancel culture and wokeism are dog whistles for right-wing pundits eager to point out how changing a culture is becoming toxic for people who used to make a living telling my wife jokes, which Cleese is no stranger to. A while back, Cleese framed his entire stand-up act around his expensive divorce from his third wife, and something tells us the jokes won't be any fresher on the comic's upcoming GB News show, in which he'll act as a commentator and presenter. Obviously, it doesn't bode well for fans of Cleese's earlier work. Well, let me tell you something. That is fake news, because yours truly has been watching John Cleese and all the Monty Python crap since I was 6 years old, and I love him even more now. Because guess what? Back in the day, the Democrats were the party of free speech. Now they're the party of you can't offend anybody and say anything that makes fun of anybody that may make them offended. You get it? It's just, no. They are too sensitive. Used to be the Republicans, but well, you can't joke about sodomy on TV. Children could be watching. Now the Democrats are like, you can't make fun of gays, but we want to make your kids watch a drag queen bounce around with his testicles hanging out the sides of his J-string. That's what we want to do. That's what we're dealing with, folks. But if you make fun of the Democrats or the gays, But if you're a straight, meat-eating, white Republican male that owns guns, fair game, he's the devil. He's Hitler. He's worse than Hitler. Jonathan, mind you, J.K. Rowling, the liberal of liberals as they come, author of Harry Potter and other things, she said that only women can get pregnant. They tried to cancel her for saying there's only two genders. There you go, folks. That's how vicious they are. Now, for the last thing of the day, the Michelangelo thing. This is from the Tallahassee Democrat. Art or pornography? Michelangelo's David has been controversial since the beginning. Here's how. We're going to skip that. A little bit of that there. A little bit of that there. Let's see. Most recently, David was called out by parents at a Florida charter school. The principal at Tallahassee Classical School in Leon County resigned after three parents complained that the required Renaissance art class, which included David as well as the creation of Adam, fresco painting, and Botticelli's Birth of Venus, upset their children. They said they wish they'd been informed beforehand, and one parent called the lesson pornographic. Now, even Clay Travis and Buck Sexton said that's a little too far. Clay Travis, most of you probably follow him, had just finished his trip to Italy, and on the first day, he asked his second grader, "What do you think about the place?" And said, "Dad, there's penises everywhere." Now, I highly doubt that any of these students, unless potentially they were all lesbians, were offended by an image of a statue that even anybody who has seen the Goonies, there is in the movie The Goonies, which was made in the late 80s, I believe, there is a mimic statue of the Michelangelo thing. And he gets knocked over by Chunk, I believe, the fat kid. Or am I not allowed to say fat anymore? And I don't remember the main character's name. He played Sam in Lord of the Rings. He's like, "Oh my god!" And the schlong broke off. "Oh my god, that was my mom's most favorite part." They glued it on backwards. It looked like an upside down stiffy. But anyway, it's like typically. I mean, when I was a sixth grade kid, and we saw that probably even in grade 5 or even before. It was an art history class at a charter school. These are hoity-toity kind of schools. They're going to show you real art. Us boys back then would just laugh and be like, "Yeah, we just got a little, well, that's a grown man, and that's about the same size as ours, and we're kids, I mean, it's not like it's an obnoxiously large schlong. I don't understand. But again, maybe they were lesbian parents. I don't know. But that is going a little too far. I mean, maybe they're Democrats and they're staging this to try and kill DeSantis's parental rights and education from going even further. For example, up through middle school or up through grade 6. Up through grade 6. First, it stands through preschool through grade 3. You can't talk about transgenderism. Now they want to expand it to grade 6, which I'm fine with that. Because, well, if you're taught in grade 6, a lot of people aren't fully developed at that time unless they eat a lot of processed food. You may not know. And a lot of these teachers are queers and they're Democrats and they want to chop off your nuts or your titties and make you into a dude or a woman because then you'll be forever a liberal. Because the liberals will always protect the trans and won't be able to reproduce. But in a way, making liberals that don't reproduce might not be such a bad thing. That don't matter. Look at that vote for the next 50 years. So, hey, I don't know. I always looked at it and said, okay, that's how they did things back then. They pen and necking people. I bet them parents watched the Titanic over and over again too. Which, goddamn it, I'm sorry. I hated that movie. It sucked. Nothing about the wreck at all. Anyhow, cheerio, folks. Catch you next week, hopefully. Chugs.